Troopers, I hope by the time you're watching this video that David and I and our two boys are going to be on our way to the beach.
For a nap.
For a nap. Hopefully a little rest and relaxation as well as some warm weather. I'm hoping, been praying that the weather is nice.
Yes,
but we felt like this was the last weekend to get in one more Easter extravaganza video.
Yeah.
So you have something in mind?
Yeah, but I need a bunny that we don't have one big enough. This is actually our biggest bunny at the moment, and
he's so cute.
I think I'm gonna need like a big bunny. So we may just have to make that.
Okay, let's jump in and see what David has in store for today.
So we've been thinking about some planters that would go maybe beside your door or planters, you know, somewhere on your porch. And I wanted to make a really big bunny, and I know we have smaller bunny frames that are like for your door that are, you know, they're 20 inches tall or something like that. But I want a big bunny, so I'm going to take a 24-inch grapevine wreath and give it a little more oval shape. Just squeeze that in.
Giving it a hug.
Yeah, so that it's gonna elongate a little bit more. And then we're gonna plant this in our styrofoam, and then we're gonna add an 18-inch wreath to the top of that, and then we need to give him some ears because we're gonna have like a large bunny. But that's the goal. Gonna be a little bit of a challenge. Just working with grapevine is sometimes difficult, so you may not want to try this one at home, but you can do it. Where there's a will, there is a way. So you could use plant stakes or something like that. Some people use wire, kind of like tomato cage wire. I'm going to use birch branches to stake my grapevine wreath in. So I'm going to be cutting off some of the branches so I end up with really just one large piece so I can stake that into my styrofoam, and then we'll go from there. So to get it to kind of balance, we're going to go in at a bit of an angle right here, and that's going to help that stand up. Then we'll cut, and we'll go in from another angle, maybe cut a little piece off of this. On the back side more. And then we really don't need this, not a snowman, so we don't need any twig arms. Next, we're just going to do other side, same as the side we just did, and you can repeat this as many times as you feel necessary to make it secure. So once we've got this where we can kind of push it and it'll spring back into shape, we're going to start adding our other piece of grapevine. And we're gonna also kind of bring that one in a little more oval shape instead of round, you know, however much you choose to do that. And then we're gonna zip tie this guy together. Hopefully I got big enough zip ties here. Well, maybe need to go somewhere different. Trying to get this through all the branches you need to get it through to connect, and then back together is a little bit challenging. Something like that's really what you want, so that we can kind of get it more toward the front on this side. And don't tighten it all the way yet. I act like I know exactly what I'm doing, even though this is the first one of these I have ever made. It's just a crazy, hey, I can't get this idea of a bunny out of my head, so I'm just going to have to make one. We did try just about everything before we went this route. So we're going to slowly tighten both sides until we've got that really tight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add two more, because you can always be more secure.
Don't want the bunny's head falling off.
No, that might traumatize some children.
This makes me think of a story of when I was a little girl. I was home alone, so I wasn't, my brother may have been there. He's 6 years older, so it was okay for me to be home alone.
Is it a Home Alone Easter story, not a Christmas
Yes,
story?
it's my Home Alone Easter story. And this commercial was on television to call this 1-900 number to talk to the Easter Bunny. And my parents weren't there to ask permission, so I called my Aunt Margaret and asked her if I could call the Easter Bunny. And she didn't really know what I was talking about, and she was like, sure. So I called the Easter Bunny a few times that day.
That sounds like a nice phone bill.
And when my mom got the phone bill, she was like, what in the world is this number? And when she found out, she was like, you called the Easter Bunny? And I was like, yeah, my aunt said I could. I called and asked permission. And she didn't know, my aunt didn't know, that it was like $9.99 a minute to call the Easter Bunny. So we had like a $80 charge for me calling the Easter Bunny from home. And I don't even remember talking to him, which is the strangest part. I do remember calling. I remember the phone was one that's...
Some sweaty guy in a call center.
Yes, yes. And I remember the phone in our kitchen was on the wall, like one of the phones that most people don't know about these days. But it was, I stood in a chair to reach it to call the number and got us a little $80 to $90 bill for the Easter Bunny.
That's great. Everybody needs a $90 Easter Bunny bill.
Yes.
Phone bill.
Right.
So since this is so top heavy already, I'm going to add a little more stability to it. And to do that, it's going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to have to try to thread one of these branches down through the grapevine itself. And then we can cut that, but that will get us some extra stability higher up. It's just a little bit complicated trying to get it through there. And you want to get it really close on the top part because you don't really want to, you want to be able to kind of see that gap, even though we're probably going to put a bow right here for his neck anyway, because all the Easter bunnies I've ever seen made out of grapevine had a tuxedo bow for some reason.
Formal bunnies.
Formal bunnies, yes. But you gotta somewhat curve this birch branch, or like I said, if you had metal, if you had plant stakes or something, might be the better way to go with this. Although those are usually green, and birch branch blends in probably better. Might be more difficult to bend. In order to make ears, we're going to make those out of grapevine also, but what we've done is deconstructed a grapevine wreath, and we really don't need this bottom piece really at all because it's going to be too thick. It's not going to want to bend enough for us, so we're going to want some of these thinner pieces. But once you get down to those thinner pieces, we're going to have to bend them into the shape of ears. So we're just going to keep separating some of this out, because it will come out into more individualized pieces once you start cutting a little bit. There's a piece right there. So then we can actually start to shape some ears, possibly. We're going to work on that. But what we're going to do, you're going to have to find the right angle to get it long enough and have a little bit of an arch so it's not like a circle, because it's going to want to be this shape and we don't want that. So we really want to get like a tighter angle on it. So you just kind of play with it, determine that angle, and then I've got some floral wrapped wire that I'm going to use to kind of tie this off. And you could probably just zip tie this as well. But we're going to use that as just a little bit of a guide, and then we're going to add some more pieces in to thicken that up, because it's really not, I don't feel it's thick enough as it is. We want, because the grapevine wreaths are so thick of vine, I don't think this one's going to show quite as well. So we're just going to layer, because this is thicker on this side and thinner on this side, we get a little more curve. So we're going to go opposite direction for this one. Try not to break them, if possible. And then bend that inside, let that go around, and then wrap it with some of that wire again. So we can keep doing this as much as we need to get that where we need it to be. And then we're going to cut some of this excess, not all of it, we're going to cut some of it off. Because we're actually going to use some of this to attach. We're going to go into our grapevine here with some of that, and that's going to give us a nice stabilizing piece. So we've got one ear, we just need another bunny ear. We're just going to have to attach those. I'm going to have to wire those in a little better. So I've got this guy a little bit more beefed up so he's more proportionate, and then like I said, we're gonna try and get some of these branches to go inside of the grapevine, and we're going to wire the other side down, because it's going to be really hard to get those inside the grapevine. But we can wire those like they are almost inside the grapevine. Might can get a piece or two here or there. But we got that piece attached. We just need to make another ear. So we made another ear. Now we need to try to assemble this one alongside the other and make it so that it's got a similar angle, which is slightly complicated, but we're going to make it work somehow.
I have faith in you.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That makes one of us. Maybe I should have practiced this one before I made it. So I've got a little bit longer. I may have to adjust some ear materials here. I got distracted when I was making them. So we built our bunny structure. We could make the ears a little more angled if I wanted to spend another hour or two trying to do that. If you really feel very passionately about pointy rabbit ears like Jennifer, and you want to do this, I would suggest soaking these in water. It loosens them up, and then you can bend them in the way you want them to go. Or if you have one of those steam benders, you could do that, but I don't know anybody that's ever had one of those. But you can steam them, like if you had a really nice steamer, you could steam them. They're not super wet, because once they're wet, then you got to dry them back out. It's a big process, but if you could steam them, they'll adopt some of that moisture, and you can get that perfect angle that you're looking for. Some of us are looking for. I don't have time for the perfect angle, so we're going to move on with the rest of our piece, because this is just the start. We wanted to build that shape, and now we have to give the bunny a place to go, and we're better than a carrot patch for our bunny to sit. So we're going to be using a lot of orange tulips. So this tulip bush is going to be perfect to not only give us that very carrot feel and some bright, vibrant color, But at the same time, once we place the bushes around our grapevine frame, they're also going to help secure it. So just remember that if you are adding more things like this, which I'm sure you would be doing because nobody wants just a grapevine wreath stuck in a piece of styrofoam, that it is going to get more secure the more things that you add. So we're going to just be pulling these, separating these apart. So that we get our nice little carrot tulip field going on here. And we'll put one in the back. And let's put one more in the front here. Because we'll still get that shape. This is why I needed to make a gigantic bunny frame, because I wanted all these tulips to be coming up out of the bottom. So the ones that we had that are only about 20 inches tall, they were just not going to quite cover it. Now we're going to be adding this fern. This is plastic fern bush. It's actually a fresh touch pine, so it's actually a very natural piece to be adding. And we're just going to go in a little bit under the tulips and pull this out somewhat. So we let that hang down. Put one more in the middle. The sides are very important where we've got that grapevine going up. And then we're going to put a couple in the back as well. I don't want to forget that completely. Even though you might feel more comfortable putting a little less back there because it's not the front. If this is up against a wall on your porch, you may not need quite as much in the back. But you do need something back there just so when people walk behind or around, it's not going to be completely blank and you're able to see the styrofoam. So we'll just shape this out a little bit more and then we'll be ready to move on from there.
I love the bunny, but this will be pretty even without the bunny if you just want something in your planters on your porch.
Yeah, you could do that too. Tulips make a great thing to add during the spring. This is a great orange color, but we do have lots of other colors in this particular tulip bush. And then we're going to go on to our carrot spray, which I've already cut up. These are actually a spray by 3, kind of like this. And I've cut these up already so that we can start adding these in. Because we're making a little carrot patch for our bunny. Because, he's got to have something to snack on. Since his ears are so wide.
He's cute.
And you can just keep adding carrots to your heart's content. They're going to look great in with our tulips. So we do want to hide our zip ties here. A couple ways you could do that. I guess you could paint them. You could probably use brown zip ties. Might have been beneficial if I had some of those. But we are going to use some ribbon. And I'm going to use this green acanthus ribbon. We're just going to tie a very simple, like a shoestring almost kind of bow, just something very small. Because we don't want to hide the frame very much. Okay, I'm going to put a couple more little loops back there. We'll just stack those on top of each other and not pull them out. Scissors found, crisis averted. So we're just going to leave that very simple. We're going to tie that around his neck, which we're going to assume is his neck, since he is like a snowman. We're gonna call this his neck. And then we're gonna cut our tails off here just a little bit shorter. Now, we've got him pretty much finished. It's our gigantic bunny in a carrot patch. He is as tall as you.
He is. Happy Easter, everybody. We hope that you have been inspired to get creative in your home. Remember to check the description for all the items that we used in today's video. Check us out at davidchristofers.com. You can click wholesale or you can click retail, depending on what kind of customer you are. And as always, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can message us there. You can share your photos with us. They can share their creations with us.
Sure.
That's always fun. And a lot of times if you use our products in your creation, we will feature you on our story on Instagram and Facebook and share your work with other people and let them see what kind of creations other people are coming up with out there. We know you've got some good ones. So again, we hope you have a wonderful weekend and we can't wait to see you next time.